Hello, beautiful soul. My name is Mara. I'm a psychic intuitive tarot and oracle reader, and today I welcome you to the fourth class in my tarot course. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the High Priestess. So grab your notebook if you're taking notes, grab your High Priestess card, and let's get started. As an archetype, the High Priestess stands as a gateway between here and other realms, which gives her a profound sense of duality. These are individuals who go through deep transformations in their personal lives, which allows them access to higher knowledge or a deeper understanding of their intuitive impulses. This archetype embodies balance, duality, and unity. It represents the harmony between our vibrational and our physical realities, as well as the control and the power that it takes to merge the two. The High Priestess is a symbol of wisdom, mystery, knowledge, and intuition. And like any archetype, she has both a toxic side as well as a healed side. When the High Priestess presents as toxic, she can be forceful, deceitful, secretive, detached, or passive. But when she is healed, she can be uplifting, supportive, receptive, and a real force of transformation. Like the magician, the High Priestess can really be seen as a catalyst for change and transformation. The big difference is centered around action. The magician is all about making big moves and helping those physically take steps to find their transformation, whereas the High Priestess stands powerful in her energy and allows others to be naturally influenced by her transformative energy. As an experience, this archetype represents a spiritual awakening or an epiphany or just a moment where you fully trust your intuition or gut to guide you forward in a situation. All of us have a sacred feminine energy within us. It doesn't matter how you identify or how you present yourself, it is truly within us all. And so this archetype can really represent a major milestone within your personal growth where you truly embrace this feminine energy and allow yourself to receive inner wisdom. And from that point on, you can really continue to tap into that sacred knowledge and use it to navigate the more mysterious points in your life. Overall, the High Priestess is such a profound energy and archetype to see, embody, or experience. It gives us the guidance that we need while allowing us the freedom and free will to choose how we want to act with that guidance. When facing the High Priestess, it's near impossible to look away. The energy can be exposing yet liberating if we choose to surrender to the energy of this archetype. So now that you have an understanding of the High Priestess archetype, let's go ahead and jump into the visual evolution of this card. So first up, we have the Visconti Sforza. Here, it is typically agreed upon that she is depicted as Sister Manfreda, who was a relative of Filippo Maria Visconti, who was the Duke of Milan. She is dressed in a nun's outfit, but she has the papal crown, or otherwise known as the tiara, that the Pope wears. She holds a book in one hand and a bishop's crook in the other. Here in the Marseille, the outfit changes to fit more of a traditional Pope attire. There is a cloth hanging behind her, and she still holds a book, which, given the religious orientation of the designs of these cards, it's often believed to be the Bible. Here in the Oswald Worth, she's still portrayed in the Pope's gown, but instead of the more traditional looking tiara, it is a crown of gems with a crescent moon on top. She holds a book with the yin and yang symbol as well as two keys in her other hand. We can see two pillars holding up a curtain or cloth behind her, and there is a sphinx carving on the chair that she sits on. In the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, she is portrayed in a white and blue gown that transforms into a body of water at her feet. She is wearing the crown of Isis or Hathor. The curtain behind her now has pomegranates and date palms. We still see the two pillars, but now there are capital letters J and B on them. There is a crescent moon at her feet and a body of water behind the curtain and pillars in the background of the card. She is no longer holding a book, but she does hold a scroll that has the words Tora on it. So now that we've explored the visual evolution of this card, let's jump into the divinatory meaning and how that has progressed over time. In 1781, de Mallet described this card as pride, symbolized by her peacock, idolatry. In 1855, Levi describes the card as the Hebrew letter Beth, the female pope, the house of God and man, the sanctuary, the law, Gnosis, the duad, wife, or mother. In 1888, Mathers describes the card as the high priestess, science, wisdom, and education. In 1896, the Golden Dawn describes the card as the priestess of the silver star, change, increase and decrease, fluctuation, whether for good or evil, is shown by the cards connected with it. In 1910, Waite describes the card as the High Priestess, secrets, mystery, the unveiled future, the woman who interests the inquirer if male, or the inquirer herself if female. Wisdom and science. So now that you understand how this card has developed throughout tarot's history, let's go ahead and dive into some symbolism, starting with numerology. Number 2 is a feminine force that represents both grace and power. Its aim is to bring balance, peace, and harmony back into a relationship, situation, or environment. It is instinctual, using its connection to intuition and higher knowledge to navigate through obstacles. 2 can represent partnership, duality, unity, and teamwork. It is overall a very cooperative number that thrives off of the convergence or unification of opposites. So now let's explore the visual symbolism of this card. So starting off with the 2 pillars next to the High Priestess, we see one is black with a B on it, and the other one is white with a J on it. These are said to represent the pillars that stood outside of the Solomon's temple, and they represent duality. The B and J are said to stand for Beelzebub and Yahweh, but they could also be the initials of Boaz and Yakim, corresponding to the Eastern tradition of yin and yang. The crown that the High Priestess wears has 2 crescent moons with a full moon in the middle, representing the full lunar cycle, which is now often associated with Maiden Mother Crone in neo-paganism. This crown can also be associated with the Egyptian goddess Isis, who was the goddess of life, magic, protection, healing, motherhood, and mourning. Now, taking a look at the cross on her chest, this is a pretty popular symbol for religions and spirituality. It is also the symbol for Earth in astrology. Overall, an equal-armed cross has been used throughout history to represent unification of dual forces. With the positioning of this cross being on her heart, it does kind of let us know that this symbolism is to the core of what the High Priestess is about. There is a crescent moon sitting at her feet in a bed of clothing, which has turned into a pool of water. Both the water and the crescent moon are long-standing symbols of intuition and mystery. With the moon being placed at her feet, it does let us know that intuition, feminine energy, the subconscious, and higher knowledge are at the foundation of who she is and what she represents. Now taking a look at the veil that hangs behind the High Priestess, we see that it is decorated with pomegranates and date palms. The veil hangs as a barrier between us and the ocean in the background, with water being a symbol of the unknown, intuition, and femininity. We find a divide between that world and the physical, practical one. As discussed in the archetype, this further suggests that the High Priestess is a channel or connection that holds space between 2 worlds. Pomegranates are a symbol of fertility, abundance, and mortality, and are also associated with Persephone, Hades, and the underworld. Date palms represent resilience, prosperity, fertility, and victory, and they are also associated with the Egyptian goddess Hathor. It's also worth noting that the palms are arranged in a tree of life pattern. The High Priestess is draped in a light blue and white gown, and we find that this represents her highly intuitive nature and the balance that she brings to any situation. Her gown flows into a pool of water at her feet and trickles off to the side. This lets us know that she is not only cloaked in this divine feminine knowledge, but that she is directly connected to the ebb and the flow of the ocean behind her, meaning that she is receiving and giving knowledge as it becomes available to her. Now, looking at the scroll of paper that the High Priestess holds, this is an extremely debated symbol within this card. We see that it is slightly hidden, kind of tucked under one of her arms, but we do see the letters Torah, which is often thought to represent the Hebrew Torah, which is a compilation of the first 5 books of the Old Testament of the Bible. There is no primary source material to let us know exactly what these letters are spelling out or what they mean. So continuing our exploration of the symbolism of the High Priestess, let's go ahead and explore the elements of this card. The High Priestess is ruled by the element water. Water represents intuition, emotion, and fluidity. This lets us know that when this card appears, we must be assertive in voicing our point of view and listening to our intuition and what makes sense to us on a higher level. It may also be a strong indicator of needing more control over our emotions and how we express them. So now that you understand the archetype of this card, how it's been developed throughout Tarot's history, and you also understand the symbolism, let's go ahead and bring it to life in your readings by exploring some interpretations. When interpreting this card or any card within the tarot, there are a few things that you need to consider. First, what is the question, context, or topic of this reading? What cards are surrounding the High Priestess? Are they supportive and uplifting? Are they spiritual? Are they grounding? Are they constricting? Are they negative? This will be one of the most important factors when giving a reading. Depending on how you read tarot, you may want to consider what cards are facing the High Priestess or what cards are physically interacting with the High Priestess. For example, what cards are closest to the black pillar, which is the yin energy, the feminine receptive energy, and what cards are closer to the white pillar, the masculine and active energy. It is also really important to consider what the card is representing. Is it a person, a place, a thing, or an energy? So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into some of my personal interpretations and suggestions when it comes to reading the High Priestess. When doing a past, present, future spread, and the High Priestess lands in the past position, this could indicate someone who had begun a spiritual path to find deeper meaning in life. It could indicate a clear turning point in someone's past that really led them to a spiritual awakening. Or it could represent a time when they couldn't or didn't know how to move forward. Not enough information was at their disposal, causing stagnation or a forceful energy. Secrets were likely kept, and someone was likely being deceived. If the High Priestess lands in the present position, this could represent a message to trust your gut and to follow your intuition. This is a time to trust yourself and your higher knowledge, even if you can't see the whole picture yet. Your emotional guidance system is working overtime to get you to do or notice something. This could also indicate the beginning of a spiritual awakening or a life-altering epiphany. On the other hand, it could be a warning of sorts that you are being deceived and to only trust yourself in this moment. Either way, it is encouraging you to exercise emotional clarity so that you can confidently navigate the path forward. If the High Priestess lands in the future position, this would mean that a spiritual awakening is approaching. Now is the time to get grounded and balanced so that you can be receptive to any changes or obstacles that will come up. It could be a message to prepare intuitively because you may be called to make a significant change that may come out of the blue. This could also indicate that the truth is finding its way to you via your intuition. Deception may cause confusion or self doubt, so it will be important to stand in your power and access clarity through your gut feelings and your emotional guidance system. As a single card reading, it depends on what you're asking about. As a person, this would represent someone who is extremely intuitive. They are a natural born psychic. They have a deep connection and access to higher realms, allowing them to know things that may appear hidden to others. This is somebody who is very unique and quirky, very compassionate, and very emotional. They are great secret keepers, which also means that they are great liars. It represents somebody who trusts their gut almost to the point of defying logic. There's no point in trying to deceive the High Priestess because there's nothing you can get past them. They can read you like an open book. As an environment, this card would represent a place that is very spiritual or filled with people that encourage a deep connection to the divine or scientific exploration. For example, it could be a temple, a church, a mosque, or other places of worship. It could be ancient ruins like Machu Picchu, Angkor Wat, the pyramids, Stonehenge, etc. Or it could be more indicative of the activities that you will do in a specific environment. For example, it could be pointing towards a spiritual retreat, a sweat lodge, or a visit to your local psychic. And in some cases, it could even symbolize a visit to the hospital or your doctor's office. As an energy, this card would represent duality, the divine feminine, convergence, fluidity, spiritual awakenings and transformations, and creativity and advancement. It could also indicate a lack of balance, deception, secrecy, disempowerment, or force. If the High Priestess is surrounded by Pentacles cards, you will need to use your intuition to advance with your work, finances, or physical health. You may need to trust your gut or seek the guidance of a psychic above all other opinions in order to be successful. This could also indicate a need for more groundedness in your spiritual practices or to focus on your physical health in order to feel more in touch with your inner wisdom. If the High Priestess is surrounded by swords, it could be a sign to trust your ideas with more faith or to encourage scientific or spiritual discoveries. It could also indicate mental blocks or beliefs that get in the way of following your intuition. In extreme cases, it could even represent the spectrum of spiritual psychosis. If the High Priestess is surrounded by cups, it is a sure sign to trust your intuition and emotions. Your emotional guidance system is trying to lead the way. It could be a sign that you have emotional blocks that are preventing you from being able to trust your intuition, or it could be encouraging you to be more emotional in a situation in order to find the most fulfillment out of it. If the High Priestess is surrounded by wands, it's time to take action towards a spiritual path. This is likely an indication that a spiritual awakening is about to or is currently happening. Now is not the time to abandon your spiritual beliefs or to refuse to delve into new ones. When the High Priestess is surrounded by other spiritual cards, it is a sure sign of a spiritual awakening. It would indicate a deep personal transformation or an unexplained spiritual experience. It could also be a sign to trust your intuition more, that a path will open up or an opportunity will become more available through following and listening to your emotions and intuition. This could also be a sign that your spirit guides and the universe or something beyond is communicating with you. If the High Priestess is surrounded by limiting cards, you will need to exercise extreme trust in yourself and your abilities to get through this time. In extreme cases, it could be pointing to spiritual psychosis or curses being directed at you. It could also be pointing towards toxic people in your life, spreading lies and hiding their true intentions from you. Choosing to read reversed cards is a personal preference. Upright cards have everything that you need in order to make a clear and concise message, so if reading reversed is not something that you're interested in, it will not limit you in any shape or form as a reader. However, if you do choose to read reversals, the High Priestess would symbolize secrets that could be detrimental to your situation. There are people influencing you that are lying, putting on a show, or wearing a mask. This could also indicate untapped potential when it comes to your spiritual gifts or intuition. You could be feeling that your intuition is broken or leading you astray. And in some cases, it may suggest a time in someone's life when they lose faith and experience disconnectedness to the collective. So there you have it. That's the High Priestess. I hope that you found this lesson to be insightful and encouraging for you to develop your own understanding of this beautiful card. Let me know what you enjoyed the most about today's lesson and what you're looking forward to the most throughout this tarot course. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment them below. I will do my best to answer any questions that you guys have. And stay tuned for the next lesson where we dive into the Empress card. So thank you all so much for being here. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Blessed be.